Most kidnappers leave a trail of absolute chaos. They break windows, they leave frantic, mud-caked footprints, and they leave behind the sounds of a struggle that echo through a quiet neighborhood like a dying scream. But the individual who drifted into the sun-drenched, tranquil streets of Tucson, Arizona, to take Nancy Guthrie didn't leave chaos. He left a trail of chilling, surgical precision. To understand what happened at 1:47 a.m. that morning, we have to look past the sensationalized headlines and peer directly into the dark, labyrinthine mind of a predator who believed he was a ghost. When we examine the doorbell footage, the only haunting digital ghost of this encounter, we don't see a panicked criminal fumbling in the dark. We see a man who moves with the icy, rhythmic calm of a professional locksmith. This is the criminal profiler perspective. Look at the gait, the way he distributes his body weight, and the way he approaches the residence without a single wasted movement. He isn't scanning the street for witnesses because, in his mind, he has already cleared the perimeter 1,000 times over. He isn't fumbling with his equipment. He is wearing a high-grade tactical backpack, not a bag he found on site, but a specialized tool of the trade he brought with him from the shadows. In the world of high-stakes profiling, we call this premediation. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was a scripted, rehearsed performance. Every step taken on that porch was calculated to minimize acoustic vibration and maximize absolute physical control. He knew exactly who was behind that door, and more importantly, he knew exactly how much time he had before the world, and the power of a global media empire, would start looking for her. To understand the gravity of the crime, we must first understand the victim. Nancy Guthrie wasn't a woman who lived a life of high-stakes drama or international intrigue. She lived the kind of life many of us aspire to. Quiet, respected, and deeply rooted in the Golden Desert community of Tucson. But her life had a tether to a world of immense power and visibility. Her daughter, Savannah Guthrie, is a household name, a face that millions of Americans wake up to every single morning on the Today Show. This creates a jarring, almost violent juxtaposition. The 4K high-definition lights of a New York City television studio versus the dark, silent, and dusty morning of a suburban Arizona street. When Nancy vanished, the silence was deafening. There were no ransom notes pinned to the door with trembling hands. There were no frantic phone calls in the middle of the night demanding unmarked bills. There was only an empty house, a cooling cup of tea, and a sense of profound, soul-crushing wrongness. For a profiler, this silence is a clue in itself. It suggests a kidnapper who isn't motivated by a quick payday. If you want money, you make noise, you make demands. But if you want power, you take someone's peace. By taking Nancy, the kidnapper wasn't just taking a woman. He was hijacking the peace of mind of one of the most visible families in America. He was stepping into a spotlight he hadn't earned, using Nancy as his ticket to the ultimate psychological power play. He wanted to be the one thing the news cycle couldn't explain away. That's why Nancy? This is the question that haunts the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. If the goal was financial gain, there are thousands of easier, less protected targets in the state of Arizona. This leads us to the proxy and power theory. In the mind of a certain type of stalker or predator, celebrity creates a wall that is impossible to scale. You cannot simply walk up to a world-famous journalist in Manhattan. The security, the crowds, and the infrastructure make her untouchable. But the predator doesn't see a wall. He sees a challenge. He feels a perceived rejection from the celebrity he watches every day, and in his twisted logic, if he cannot touch the daughter, he will strike the woman who gave her life. This is proxy victimization. To the kidnapper, Nancy Guthrie is a symbol, a remote control. By controlling her, he believes he is finally controlling Savannah. So he is asserting a terrifying form of dominance over a woman he sees on his television screen every morning while he eats his breakfast. It is a parasocial relationship turned lethal. He watches the success, he sees the fame, and he feels a deep, twisted need to be a part of that narrative. By kidnapping Nancy, he ensures that for the rest of Savannah Guthrie's life, his shadow will be cast over her story. He isn't just a criminal. He is a man trying to write himself into the history books of a famous family. He wants to be the shadow that follows the spotlight. While the kidnapper's motivations are rooted in dark psychology, his undoing is rooted in the cold, unyielding laws of physics and biology. This is where the forensic countdown begins. He thought he was invisible, but the 21st century does not allow for ghosts. Every move he made, no matter how precise, left a digital or biological trace. Shay, let's look at the backpack. It's a specific brand, a specific tactical model, and it sits on his shoulders in a way that suggests significant weight, heavy-duty tools, restraints, perhaps a secondary jamming device to kill the Wi-Fi signal. Investigators don't just see a bag, they see a retail trail. They see a manufacturing date. They see a shipping manifest. They see a credit card transaction waiting to be uncovered in a digital database. Then, actually, there is the most damning piece of evidence of all, the blue latex glove. In his desperate attempt to leave no fingerprints, the kidnapper made the ultimate forensic blunder. Latex is a double-edged sword. It keeps your oils off the furniture, but it acts as a vacuum seal for your own identity. It traps your skin cells, your sweat, and your very essence inside a hermetically sealed pouch. When that glove was discarded or lost in the frantic moments of the getaway, it became a time capsule of his identity. Inside those fibers is a DNA profile, a genetic blueprint that is unique to him and him alone. In the 1990s, he might have vanished into the desert haze, but in the era of modern forensics, that DNA is a homing beacon that never stops beeping. The clock is ticking because of a revolution in science that the kidnapper never saw coming. We are no longer limited to searching dusty criminal databases like CODIS. Today, we have investigative genetic genealogy. When the lab extracted the DNA from that blue glove, they didn't just look for a match to a known felon. They looked for his bloodline. They searched public ancestry databases for his cousins, his second cousins, and his distant relatives who had innocently uploaded their DNA to find their roots. The invisible man might not be in the system, but his family is. Think of it as a digital dragnet pulling tight around his neck. Forensic experts take that genetic sequence and build a family tree in reverse. They find a third cousin in Ohio, a great aunt in Florida, a nephew in California. Slowly, the branches of the tree begin to narrow. They focus on a specific branch, then a specific household, and finally, a specific individual who fits the profile, the age, and the location. The suspect thinks he is hiding in the shadows of the Arizona heat. See, but his own blood is screaming his name from a server in a cold room halfway across the country. The countdown didn't start when the police arrived at the Guthrie home. It started the moment his sweat touched that Tucson soil. While the DNA tells the story of the man, the neighborhood tells the story of the crime. Neighbors in Tucson have begun to speak of a white van, or a nondescript sedan, that had been idling near the park for weeks. In a community where everyone knows everyone, a stranger is a signal flare. The digital dragnet extends to the ring cameras of every house within a 5-mile radius. Investigators are now back-timing the footage. They aren't just looking at the night of the abduction, they are looking at the weeks of surveillance the kidnapper conducted. They are looking for the moment he parked his car, the moment he adjusted his mask, and the moment he revealed a tattoo or a specific piece of jewelry. The invisible man is being reconstructed, the pixel by pixel. We are learning that he didn't just walk onto that porch, he haunted it. He studied the timing of the porch lights. He knew when the neighborhood went to sleep, but he didn't account for the digital silence. The moment Nancy's pacemaker stopped transmitting to her base station, a silent alarm was triggered in the digital cloud. He was being tracked before he even left the driveway. As we piece together the profile, the motive, and the science, the image of this kidnapper shifts. He stops being a terrifying, cinematic mastermind and starts looking like what he truly is, a pathetic, desperate individual. He is a man who sought significance through the suffering of an innocent 84-year-old woman. He is a man who tried to use the fame of a daughter to mask the utter insignificance of his own hollow life. But the invisible man is a myth we tell ourselves to feel safe. No one is truly invisible. When he is captured in the grain of a doorbell camera, he is captured in the pixels of his backpack's logo, and he is captured in the microscopic coils of his own DNA. The Nancy Guthrie case is a testament to the resilience of a family under fire and the relentless, mechanical nature of modern justice. It reminds us that while predators may find temporary gaps in our security, science finds permanent gaps in their anonymity. The red strings on the investigative board are closing in. When the digital lines are connecting, the invisible man is running out of oxygen, running out of desert, and running out of places to hide. The science will catch him. The DNA will identify him. The law will eventually find him. But the psychological scars on the Guthrie family will remain. This case is a stark warning, about the hidden costs of our public lives and the invisible threats that walk among us in the bright Arizona sun. The invisible man is currently waiting. He is watching the news, and perhaps even watching this video thinking he is safe. But he doesn't realize that the knock on his door isn't a matter of if, but when. The profile is complete. The genetic map is drawn. The spotlight he so desperately craved is finally about to turn on him, not in a television studio, but in a cold, sterile courtroom where his secrets will be stripped bare. What do you believe was the ultimate trigger for this individual? Was it a specific broadcast, a specific moment of fame, or a long, simmering resentment of a life he could never have? The clues are all there, hidden in the gait of a man in a backpack, walking across a porch in Tucson. We are watching. The world is watching. And soon, the invisible man will be forced to step into the light.